So we've gotten our official first look at the new Street Fighter 6 trailer. Oh my gosh, there is a little bit of ground to cover, so let's go ahead and cover it quickly, simply, and effectively. Also, don't mind the wiring here. I'm doing some modifications to my setup, so let's go ahead and get into it. First off, right off the bat, this visual style feels a lot more realistic than what I'm used to with Street Fighter. But at the same time, I've kind of been noticing that they're going down this direction since Street Fighter 4. I mean, the direction there, I mean, you can still kind of tell that it's just 3D models of what we already had prior. But at the same time, you do notice with Street Fighter 5, they started going a bit more realistic from that point. So the art style overall doesn't really bother me at all. I actually think it looks really good, especially with some of the character designs that I will touch on. But simply from an aesthetic thing, from gameplay, I think it looks very promising. Now, there is something that they're doing that I'm a little bit concerned about. I mean, it looks fun, but how will it play? They are bringing something that didn't work for me that much in MK11, which I hate to compare games, but I'm going to compare them in this point because that's the first game I could think about that applied this, and that's adding weight to these characters. Now, adding weight isn't necessarily a problem. Now, the problem is when you add the weight and it makes the characters feel slower. You want to keep the gameplay at least somewhat quick and not make the characters as predictable. Because when I remember playing MK11, I was able to predict a lot of characters' moves, mostly because a lot of the characters in that game did feel dramatically slowed down because of them adding the weight modifications that they added to the overall gameplay. So I just don't want them to apply that all the way with Street Fighter. Although I will say there are very unique looking moves and there are things that they're bringing back that I wanted to see back for a while. I wasn't really a big fan of Street Fighter 5. I thought it was mid to meh. I mean, I didn't really enjoy it as much. It wasn't very replayable for me. I mean, I played a little bit. I was like, this is fun. Then the next day I was kind of like, I'm not feeling it. But my two favorite Street Fighter games have always been Third Strike and Street Fighter 4. Those two are my favorite. And I can also include Marvel vs. Capcom, but those aren't really Street Fighter games. Those are just Capcom products brought against Marvel characters. But they're bringing back something that I wanted them to bring back for a while, and that is, first of all, parrying. It looks like they're bringing back parrying, and they're doing this really cool color effect that I'm really digging. And it also looks like that they're bringing back focus attacks from Street Fighter 4, and they're also adding coloring there instead of like the ink effect that they had in Street Fighter 4, which I think is going to be very cool, very unique, very different, and it's something that's really going to add a lot of personality and fun to this game, which is why I said from a visual aesthetic, it looks very pleasing, and the gameplay actually looks pretty fun. Now, with the weight thing that they added in there, the weight feeling, I'm not sure if that's going to translate well in making it a very replayable game, but we'll have to see when we see more gameplay revealed. And speaking more from gameplay, or more of characters, I should say, the character designs actually look really well. I'll just talk about the ones that stand out to me so far, and we'll be talking about the leaked Ken design as well. We have Chun-Li, which they gave her newer outfits. She looks like she's kind of like Grandmaster or something like that, so good for her. Love to see Chun-Li. She basically, not too much has changed about her, but the most noticeable change so far that you see in the trailer for the character is Ryu. Now, Ryu, we saw bearded Ryu, a glimpse of him in Street Fighter 5, and everybody was liking that, a small glimpse at him. Now we get to see that he's officially like the main roster character of Ryu is going to be like bearded Ryu, wearing Oro's cloak, which Ryu did train with Oro before in Street Fighter lore, so it's cool that they included that little Easter egg for people who notice. And they changed up his design to not make him look too different, but he looks kind of like a natural progression of the character. And that's something that I like that they're doing with these characters, especially with the leaked Ken design. Now, I remember a couple of days ago, before I got to see the newer Ken design, I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and I mentioned the fact that it would be interesting if they did with Ken that he wasn't training as much. So, you know, he didn't put on weight necessarily, but he puts on a little bit more mass, and he's not like as heavy into his training. And he kind of would like be like kind of like Axel from Streets of Rage 3. Like where, you know, he's not necessarily out of shape, but he is a little bit bigger. And that looks like what they're doing with Ken here. I really appreciate the design change. I think it looks cool. Now there's all these leaks about him divorcing his wife and stuff like that and him being homeless. I don't think that's true. I just think that he's like a dad, so he kind of has a little bit more of a dad bod, and you know, he hasn't been training as consistently. So I really do like the design change. I can't wait to see what they bring with Ken. All in all, very satisfying. I love the idea of bringing back parrying and focus attacks. Also, they're doing a couple of unique things with attacks that I really, really like, particularly Ryu's Hadouken techniques, or oh my god, what was it? Satsue no Haro? Is that what it's called? I keep on forgetting the name. I'm sorry. It's really hard to remember all these names for these like attacks and stuff like that. But it's cool showing what he can do with them. And he's kind of manipulating kind of like magic and stuff like that. It has a really interesting effect to him. And I really like that. Just the detailing looks nice. The animations look very nice. And this is going to be available on Xbox One or Series X, if I'm not mistaken. So it's cool that they're including it on multiple consoles again, instead of just, you know, skipping a generation again. And yeah, this pretty much has given me all I wanted. I'm really digging it so far. So what did you guys think of the Street Fighter 6 gameplay reveal, or a little bit of the gameplay reveal? Just mostly a cinematic trailer if you really look at it. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you guys liked the video, make sure to subscribe today to join the Isolation.